Hello, my friends. My name is Dr. Wes Ely from Vanderbilt University, and I work at the CIBS Center, CIBS, Critical Illness, Brain Dysfunction, and Survivorship. And Margaret Arnold is a great leader of the early mobility movement, and all of you gathered there as part of this early mobility conference to envision what it would be like to have an awake and walking ICU across the spectrum of all of critical care. And just imagine for a moment what would happen on the back end of that if our patients were all awake and walking as they were going through their critical illness? On the back end of it, we would have people more whole, more able to be the leaders of their families, to go back to work, to earn a living, and or to be the matriarchs and patriarchs of their families, or the children to not have ruined epiphyseal plates and different lengths of legs that hurt them during their acquisition of post-intensive care syndrome when they had sepsis in the ICU. So many ways that we can do a better job for our patients. And as we dive down into their chaos, and this is my working definition of mercy, is my willingness to dive into the chaos of another person's life and provide lifting and healing. In my life as a physician, there's someone who stands out as a teacher, and her name is Polly Bailey, the nurse from whom you are going to learn at this conference. And I want to read you two paragraphs from this book, Every Deep Drawn Breath, of an intro into why I say that Polly was my teacher. In July 1994, in Kaysville, Utah, just a few miles east of the Great Salt Lake, Joy Sunloff developed septic shock during a routine gallbladder surgery and was rushed by helicopter to the ICU LDS hospital. There, nurse Polly Bailey recognized Joy's name. She knew exactly who in their small town did Joy's hair and nails and took her under her wing as her patient. For the next 50 days, Polly took Joy in the hospital, attending to her needs as she lay comatose on a ventilator, updating Joy's husband, John, at every opportunity. Polly was the nurse who oversaw Joy when she finally made it out of the ICU and into the rehab unit. When Joy returned to home in Kaysville, Polly made daily visits to the house where Joy lived with John and their two children. Isn't that what it's about, my friends? That these are real people with real stories. And I use the phrase, cada persona es un mundo. Each person is a world. Polly was able to see that, and so can you, and so can I, if we are able to talk to our patients, to get them out of the bed, to find out what I do in the ICU, 4 things: their favorite food, their favorite music, their pets' names, and their hobbies. And once I know those 4 things about a person, I defy myself to think of them as dehumanized or depersonalized. But what did Polly do back in the 90s? She realized that we were hurting people. And so she went to her boss, Terry Clemmer, and she told him, Terry, what we're doing is hurting them. And he said, go to the literature then, find me the papers, show me why we should do it differently. I saw what happened to Joy, said Polly, and that changed everything. I knew we had caused it. I said to Terry, I'm going to fix this process. We're just going to change everything. He said, okay, you bring me the literature. So I took him a stack of papers, a foot high, and I said, here you go. But there's nothing in there to support what we're going to do. Polly paused and took a sip of her orange juice as I was interviewing her. There wasn't literature about delirium. There wasn't literature about weaning sedation. There wasn't literature about mobility. There wasn't literature about anything. That was where we were then. But isn't it important in life, my friends, to know that we can do better with the light of a new day and new information? Each of us each day is doing the best we can with the light we have at the time. But what if during this meeting, during this conference, you are afforded new light, new information, so that you can take that back to your families and their loved ones and to your teams, and this new light create a better circumstance of an awake and walking ICU that is filled with early mobility to get people back to the land of the living, more whole, more awake, more alert about who they are as people, so that they can find their why to live. And in so doing, all of us too, as healthcare professionals, we will be healed and we will have less burnout. and we will find our vocational calling and our way forward. Thanks so much for being present here. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but I am there in spirit, and all of us together can find a way forward to make medicine better so that we can serve other people mercifully and in a more healing way.